So first, how does it feel to even have a heart attack, right? Oh, let me say, how does it feel to have a widowmaker heart attack, which is the most aggressive heart attack a human being can experience? For me, it felt like a very dull, growing, intense pain in your chest. So it started off dull and it just kept intensifying, and it just wasn't backing down, right? And it was like, up until that point in my life, it was the worst pain I've experienced in my entire life. And with that pain, it came a numbness, like half of my body or my torso was numb, the left side. So there was like this numbness on my left side and this really intense pain in the middle of my chest. It was dull, but just growing and growing and getting more intense and more intense. And initially, I'm doing stretches. I'm trying to stretch this thing out. What is this, some type of gas or I don't know, acid? I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I'm trying to stretch it out, move around. Maybe this thing will ease up. And it wasn't easing up. So I went from stretching to laying on the floor to rolling on the floor to bent over the sink, putting water on my face. And this pain wasn't going anywhere. And it was just intensifying and intensifying. And I was involved in a trucking accident. And so I was getting spinal injections for the neck and back pain. So I initially thought, well, maybe this is complications with the accident. So I'll just talk to my pain management doctor in the morning. That was the game plan. But mind you, I'm in a hotel room because prior to me getting to the hotel room, I was so weak that I couldn't drive from south side to north side because I was losing consciousness, essentially. Still didn't realize this. I'm still ignoring all the warning signs, but I was losing consciousness while driving. So I stopped and I said, I'll figure this out in the morning. I don't know why I'm so exhausted, but I'll figure it out in the morning. I'll just get a hotel room. So I'm having this intense pain in my chest. I'm trying to stretch it out. The initial game plan is I'll wait till the morning. I'd call my pain management doctor, and deal with it in the morning. And so as this pain just kept on getting worse and worse and worse and growing, this growing pain, the intensity was growing. And there was no relief no matter what I did. There was nothing that was calming this pain down. So I have a nursing background, and then I also studied with Dr. Africa in holistic health years ago. So I had to calm myself down from an energy standpoint and just quiet the noise. And I went through a mental checklist of the symptoms that I was experiencing. So I'm making a mental checklist of the symptoms I'm experiencing. And that's when I concluded that I'm having a fucking heart attack. Because based off these symptoms, the logical conclusion is I'm having a fucking heart attack. So I called 911. And I called 911 and I told the dispatcher that I'm having a heart attack. And at this point, there's two things that's happening. I'm having this intense pain, but I'm also getting weaker and weaker and weaker. So the pain is intensifying, but my life force energy is draining. It's fucking disappearing. I'm getting weaker and weaker and weaker. So, of course, the dispatcher wanted to keep me talking. But I'm so weak at this point that I don't want to do any talking, because the more questions I answer, the weaker I'm getting, the more life force energy I'm losing, right? So at this point, my hotel room door is open. And I'm trying to get air. I'm laying on the floor. Hotel room door is open. And I could hear the ambulance coming, which is a great sound. It's a great sound when you're going through something and you have no idea. Or it's a great sound when you're having a heart attack. So I hear the ambulance in the distance. So when they get there, I never seen anyone's face because I was so weak that I never opened my eyes. I heard their voices, right? But I never saw anyone's face. And I remember in the ambulance, the paramedics kept on trying to engage me and they wanted me to continue to talk to them. And it got to a point where I just stopped answering questions. And I remember when I stopped talking to them, they hit me with the 2 fingers on the neck to check my pulse. And it was like, Howard, you got to talk to me, man, or I'm going to think you're dead, right? So at this point, I'm too weak to talk. I'm too weak to focus on controlling my limbs, right? At this point, I'm using everything in me to hold on to the little bit of life that I had left. And death feels like a really deep sleep. So when people are about to die, they always talk about they just want to get that rest. They just want to get that rest. So death feels like this really deep sleep that you could just sink into. And at that point, I had a choice to take the deep sleep or to hold on a little bit longer. And so my logic is, all right, I'm in the ambulance. So one or two things are going to happen. And I'm okay with either way, right? So, but let me just be patient. And it's interesting because the day I died, right, it took everything that I've learned up until that point to survive on that day. It took what I learned about patience, took what I learned about health, took what I learned about just discipline in general, and just my overall approach to life, right? And even death, oddly enough. So yes, I'm holding on. And I say all that to say that from that experience, I know that there had to have been other people that died from anxiety alone in that moment, that just the anxiety overwhelmed them and they couldn't maintain holding on to that life force energy because they just exerted the life out of themselves just from anxiety. The anxiety killed them before the heart attack. So, and I know that because it was a conscious thing that I had to tune out to be able to hold on to life. So anyway, I get to the hospital and I'm waiting for the team to show up. And I had a unique opportunity because I still had my cell phone. And I still had the option. The pain is intense. The pain is still growing. And my energy is decreasing. So the pain is growing and growing and growing. And my life force energy is slowly fading away. And I'm holding on to the little bit that I have left. So I ended up calling my mom. Told my mom that I'm having a heart attack. Then the nurses got on the phone and talked to her. And then I called my children and I had my final words with my children, which is a very interesting space to be in. But I had my final words with my children, told them how proud of them I were, and it was an honor to be their father, and I loved them, and no matter what happens, never forget that. you know, and I had peace knowing that without me here, I have them set up. You know, they'll be in a good position. They'll be sad that I'm gone, but you know, what I have left for them would do them well, right? So it's really weird. Coming that close to death, trying to hold on to the life force energy, and it's a really heavy price to pay for ignoring warning signs. So I really want to encourage, you know, those that's listening to don't ignore the warning signs. You know, there were so many things, so many warning signs, so many red flags that I ignored because everything else I was doing was more important. You know, I didn't have time to take care of me. And it almost cost me my life. So I'm going to tell you one of the things that I look back on that was a big red flag. And I had this cough. I had this cough. I had this cough for about 2 years, at least 2 years. Coughing all the time for 2 years. And I was coughing up liquid, right? So I used to have a water bottle that I carried with me that I spit the liquid in. But I wasn't sick. I didn't have a cold, wasn't sick, but I had this cough. And I remember being around my mom. She'd always say, you need to get that cough checked out. You need to get that cough checked out. And the reason I was coughing so much is because I had fluid in my lungs. The reason I had fluid in my lungs is because my heart wasn't working properly. So pay attention to the warning signs. Something not right, get it checked out.